We're here because free speech is under attack. We're here because people are being convinced that socialism works. We're here because people are being judged guilty until proven innocent. We are fighting back with facts. This is not a safe zone, so buckle up, Buttercup. This is the raw, naked truth.
The Trump verdict could impact New York, the U.S. returns to the moon, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lupkin, and here's the news you need to know. New York Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engoron found Trump liable for more than $350 million in damages in the fraud suit brought against him and his company by New York State Democratic District Attorney Letitia James, but the city may get the worst of it. Legal experts have stated they believe the decision will be overturned on appeal. And the experts also analyzed what they called breathtaking civil penalties against former President Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, former Trump Organization Comptroller Jennifer McConney, and ex-CFO Alan Weisselberg, warning that other corporations based in the Empire State may realize they could suddenly be put out of business by the state on a political whim. Businesses could decide that being in New York is no longer worth the risk. Aside from losing businesses, Trump-supporting truckers have said they will refuse to take loads to and from New York City after the former president was fined the $355 million. In a video shared to X by a driver known as Chicago Ray, the trucker said that he had spoken to colleagues who all agreed they would start refusing loads to the city. According to Ray, those he spoke to had already alerted their bosses that as of Monday, they would no longer conduct business in the Big Apple. A historic moon landing could happen on Thursday. If all goes to plan this week, a U.S. spacecraft will land on the moon for the first time since 1972. The Odysseus lunar lander from Houston-based Intuitive Machines had a successful launch last Thursday and is on its way to the south polar region of the moon in an attempt to find water. A soft landing would be a much-needed win for NASA's push into private partnerships. In January, the Peregrine lander from Astrobotic failed in its attempt to land on the moon. The rising cost of living, combined with restlessness, is spurring older Americans to consider coming out of retirement. More than 4 million Americans will reach 65 this year, the age associated with retirement. Yet many of them will be working. Overall, about one-third of adults 65 to 69 have jobs, up from less than one quarter in 2000, according to a Federal Reserve Bank of Minneapolis report. How many of those were retired and returned to work isn't clear, but survey data suggests it was a lot. 1 in 8 people who are retired plan to go back to work in 2024, according to a recent ResumeBuilder.com survey. High costs, inflation, insufficient savings, and boredom were cited as the reasons. President Biden spent all or part of 408 days away from the White House on unofficial or semi-official travel in his first 3 years in office, more than any president since George W. Bush. While the Republican National Committee knocks the travel, the president's advisors claim it reflects Biden's commitment to spending time with his family. Biden is expected to ramp up his campaign-related travel in the coming months as he prepares for a likely rematch against Trump. On a more personal note, the Modern Observer Group, parent company of Exvadio Media and producer of this podcast, kicks off its 15th anniversary celebration. We would like to thank our listeners for being part of our journey. That's the Raw Naked Truth. You can catch every episode of The Raw Naked Truth at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.